looking at today is matrices. There we go. Matrices, adding and subtracting matrices, and then we're going to talk about scalars. So we add or subtract two matrices. One of the things is that the dimensions have to be the same. They have to have the same dimensions for us to be able to add or subtract. So if two matrices we're going to add or subtract, they have to have the same dimensions. They have to have the same number of rows and columns. If they do, we can add them together or subtract them. So we're going to go on and just do some examples of these here, because having the actual definition, it'll make sense, but it's easier to just see how this works. So when we look at this here, the matrices, this first one here is a 2 by 2, because we have 2 rows and 2 columns. Yes? This one here has 2 and, so it's a 2 by 2. So the dimensions for these two matrices are the same. So what we can do is we can add the elements or add the light spots together. So when we look at this here, we can add these together because the dimensions are the same. Now when we add the like elements, so here in the top left is 2, and we'll add to it, because we're adding these, the element in the top left. So we'll do 2 plus 1. So now -1 is our next one, and it matches up with 2 in the other one, so we'll do -1 plus 2. Now we'll drop down to the second row. Here, second row, first column is 3, and we're going to add to it the number in the second row, first column, which is 4. So we'll do 3 plus 4. And last but not least, so we have 0 and -2. So either adding or subtracting, doesn't matter which, we're combining or adding the like terms, adding the terms in the same spot. So we can go on and add these. So 2 plus 1 is 3. -1 plus 2 is 1. 3 plus 4 is, and 0 plus -2 is -2. That's it. That's all we have to do for this here when we add matrices together. Questions on this here? So let's look at another one. So this time we're subtracting. So let's look at the dimensions first, because that's what we need. We need the dimensions to be the same. Because if the dimensions are the same, then we can add or subtract them. So the dimensions of this first matrix here is 3 by 2. It's a 3 by 2 matrix. If we look at the other one, it's a 3 by 2. So these two matrices here are the same because they're both 3 by 2. They both have 3 rows and 2 columns. So that means we can subtract them from each other. So we're going to subtract the like elements. So we have 2 in the top left side, and we're going to subtract from it what? -1. Now still on the top row, we have -3 minus its like term is 2. Now we'll drop down to the next row. So we have 5 minus 7. And then we have what? 4 minus 8. The last row, we have -2 minus -5. And our last one is 8 minus 6. So we're just subtracting the like terms in the same spots, the numbers that are in the corresponding spots. And now we can go on and combine our like terms. So 2 minus -1, well, a negative and negative will make a positive, so we get 3. 3 minus 2 will give us -5. 5 minus 7 will give us -2. 4 minus 8 is -4. Well, here we have another negative and negative, which will give us a positive. So it'll be +3. And 8 minus 6 is What's this right here? Any questions on any of this here so far? We good with all this so far? Yes? Yeah. All right. So let's go on and just start adding these here, because we can do that. So we'd have what, -8 plus? Exactly. This one here is not possible, because here we have a 3 by 2, and here we have a 2 by 2. So the dimensions don't match up. And because the dimensions don't match up, it's not possible. Now, part of the reason it's not possible is because we could do -8 plus 6, 1 plus -1, but we don't have anything for the 3 to combine with. We don't have anything for the 3 to add to. So this is why it doesn't work, because they don't line up. We don't have something for every term. But that's it. So this here is not possible because the dimensions for these here are not the same. And since they're not the same, it's not possible, and we're done. Any other questions on adding or subtracting these? We good with addition and subtraction? Yes? All right, let's move on then. Scalar multiplication. When we talk about scalar multiplication, our scalar is just a number. Our scalar is just a number. What we're going to do with that scalar is we're going to multiply everything inside the matrices by whatever that number is. So our first example is this one here. So what's our scalar? Our scalar here is 2. So we're going to multiply everything inside the matrices by 2. So what that means for us is that we'll have 2 times 3 and 2 times -2. We'll also have 2 times 1 and 2 times 5. Then we'll have 2 times 0. So not 2 times 0, it'd be 2 times 2 and then 2 times 0. Because we're multiplying each of those numbers by 2. And then we can simplify, because 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times -2 is -4. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 0 is 0. And that's it. That's all we have to do for this here. So scalar multiplication is not that bad, is it? No? Okay. So what we can do is we can use that scalar multiplication and our addition and subtraction at the same time. So like this here. Now, anytime we have a scalar multiplication and addition or subtraction, we always do the scalars first. You're always going to want to multiply by the scalar first and then do the addition or subtraction. So the first thing we have to do here is we have to multiply everything in this first matrix by -3. So what we'll have is -3 times 5 and -3 times 0. Then we'll have -3 times -2 and -3 times 4. Since we didn't do anything to the second one, we're just going to leave it as is. Any questions on any of this so far? We good with everything so far? Yes? So we can multiply these here. -3 times 5 is -15. -3 times 0 is 0. -3 times -2 is 6. And -3 times 4 is -12. So we multiplied by the scalar first, and we multiplied it by the -3. We had -15, 0, 6, and -12. Since we have a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2, we can add them together. So we'll have negative 15 plus what? Negative 1. Then we'll have 0 plus 7, 6 plus 3, and lastly, negative 12 plus 2. Because we're just adding them together. We're adding the corresponding elements, the corresponding terms in the matrices together. And when we add these together, well, negative 15 plus negative 1 is negative 16. 0 plus 7 is 7. 6 plus 3 is 9. And negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. Any questions on any of these so far? We good with all these here? Yes? Y'all need to see another example of this? No? We're good with this here? And that's pretty much all we're going to do in here today. Now, there might be something on the assignment. I feel like it's coming back in my head. It's something like this here, where we'll have A, B, and C listed out. And what it's going to tell you is it's still doing what we exactly just did, but it's going to tell you to solve something like this here, 2A minus 3C. Well, what is A? A is that given matrix, B is that given matrix. So really all it's telling you to do is, this here is the same thing as saying 2 times minus 3 times, it's just plugging those matrices in for A, B, and they'll probably give you C, give you 3 of them, but it's no different. Questions on this here? We good with this here? Yes? Not too bad? Probably can knock this out, the homework assignment out before the end of the hour. All right. So I'm going to give you some time to work on that assignment.